My name is Sherron Williams, Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications with the NAACP. We are here because a demand was made. A demand for transparency, a demand for answers, and a demand for ultimate justice on behalf of Nolan Wells. And that demand must be honored.
Amen.
For that, we are honored to pause even for a moment to respond accordingly here at our National Convention. Momentarily, you will hear from renowned civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who will provide updates on the findings of the independent autopsy that was conducted in the death of Nolan Wells.
At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon on July 4th, someone aboard a boat pulling away from Horn Island called for help. The boat was taking on water. The caller gave a location, a head count, and one detail that took 3 weeks to become public record. Everyone is on board. Nolan Wells was not on that boat when it reached shore that evening. This week, the agency that tracked that boat's GPS released the call itself, not a summary, the actual audio, time-stamped and logged. We check every new claim in this case against agency records, court filings, and on-camera statements before it goes into a script. That's the standard the Crime Almanac holds itself to on every update. And it's part of why this one runs shorter than our last on Nolan Wells. Less has actually cleared that bar this week than you'd guess from what's spreading online. Nolan Wells was 18, a wide receiver about to start his first college season, when he boarded a boat for Horn Island on the morning of July 4th. He was last seen on the island around 3 o'clock that afternoon. The boat carrying his friends left without him at 4:31. Warren Hudson, one of the friends on that trip, has said on the record that Nolan chose to stay behind, planning to catch a ride back with someone else later. That account now sits next to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources' own call log. Roughly 30 minutes before the boat departed, someone aboard contacted a towing service, reporting the boat was taking on water. Asked to confirm everyone was accounted for, the caller said yes. Attorney Ben Crump, representing Nolan's family, has framed the two versions bluntly. One account is accurate, he said, and one is not. That's his characterization, not a finding. Nobody actually investigating this case has said, on the record, which one it is. There's a second disputed detail sitting alongside that timeline. Crump has said his team found what looks like missing message activity on Nolan's phone. That claim comes from the family's own review, not from a forensic examiner or law enforcement. Following a mid-July meeting with the Wells family, the district attorney's office agreed to a joint examination of that phone, with investigators from both sides looking at it together. That examination is still ongoing. Until it's finished, whether anything was actually deleted, and by whom, remains exactly that. An open question, not a confirmed fact. What's confirmed is narrower than either version. The call happened. The boat left at 4:31. Nolan wasn't on it. The 91 minutes before that departure are still unaccounted for by anyone with actual authority over this case. The FBI's Jackson Field office has now put its role here fully on the record. Agents are assisting the Jackson County Sheriff's Office with digital evidence, and separately, looking into threats against people connected to this case that crossed state lines. The Sheriff's Office remains in charge of the death investigation itself. That distinction has gotten blurred in a lot of online discussion, and it's worth stating plainly. Jackson County Chancery Judge Ashley Cole is the stepmother of one of the 3 teenagers who were on that boat. She said publicly that her own family has received death threats, including messages referencing her children, serious enough that she stepped away from social media entirely. Tristan Shepard, a friend of Nolan's who was on the island that day, has said the same thing in 2 separate on-camera interviews. He and people close to him have been threatened too. None of that gets anyone closer to knowing what actually happened on Horn Island. It just means fewer people with something to say may feel safe saying it. 3 weeks in, here's where the legal side stands. District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath has confirmed the case will go before a grand jury once the investigation is complete. She's also said the state's own autopsy findings will stay sealed until then, citing professional conduct rules that limit what a prosecutor can release mid-investigation. She's pushed back publicly on any suggestion the pace is deliberate. Her office, she said, is not taking time for time's sake. It's worth being precise about what a grand jury referral actually means here, because it's been widely misread. McElrath's office has said this is standard procedure for any unattended death in the county, not a signal that investigators suspect a crime. Grand juries don't run trials. They decide whether the evidence, once it's complete, supports formal charges at all. Meanwhile, the independent autopsy the family commissioned, conducted by forensic pathologist Dr. Roger Mitchell, already came back. Cause and manner of death, undetermined. Mitchell noted discoloration on the back of Nolan's head, but couldn't determine what caused it. He also couldn't examine Nolan's neck or airway. Those had already been removed during the state's own exam 6 days earlier. 3 weeks after Nolan Wells died, there are 2 autopsies attached to this case. One is sealed. The other reached no conclusion at all. In the last few days alone, several new claims about this case have started circulating. About enhanced audio, about witnesses allegedly placing Nolan on the island after the boat left, about a young woman's identity. We looked into every one of them before finishing this script. None of it is confirmed by law enforcement. Most of it traces back to a single anonymous source or one outlet's reporting, not 2 independent ones. So none of it made it into this documentary. If that changes, we'll say so, the same way we're telling you now that it hasn't. What's still genuinely open is the same question it's been since July 4th. What happened between 3 o'clock when Nolan was last seen and 4:31, when a boat with 3 fewer people than it started with pulled away from that island? Nobody with authority over this case has answered that yet. That refusal to fill silence with guesses is the reason the Crime Almanac exists. If you want updates held to that bar instead of whatever's trending on a given day, subscribing tells us to keep building them this way. Pass this along to anyone you've seen sharing the unconfirmed version of this story. And if you've got a read on those 91 minutes on Horn Island, put it in the comments. We're still watching this one as closely as you are.